Welcome to the Oklahoman postgame report from the Thunder here at the Ford Center. Carmelo Anthony Darnell beats him again, but this one is night and day different than the buzzer beater he beat him a month ago. This time he drives the lane, scores in the lane to give them a lead with about 5 seconds to go. Oklahoma City doesn't get a good playoff in their last 5 seconds. Durant has to just throw one up. But before Carmelo had that shot, there was a little controversy tonight. Talk a little bit about that call late in the game.
You know, it would have been it's like sweet justice if Kevin Durant's basically 30-foot heave went in. I mean, it was close to going in. It would have been sort of sweet justice for the Thunder and the fans here in the Ford Center had that shot fallen because, you know, you had two questionable calls inside the final 30 seconds. First, the officials called a kick ball on Russell Westbrook when he sort of stripped, I think it was Carmelo Anthony, and he was sort of sprinting down the lane, the court for a layup, an easy layup at the other end.
And the game is tied at the time. It looks like he's going to break away for a layup or dunk. Right. And that's about 25 seconds to go in the game.
And then after that, an inbounds play with Carmelo Anthony. Their last inbounds play, 17.2 seconds left. Carmelo sort of touches it and then goes backcourt. Veteran official Dick Bavetta says you have to have possession of the ball. So he didn't call a backcourt violation. Fans were going nuts. The players and coaches were going nuts. They thought it was backcourt. Unfortunately for the Thunder, Carmelo goes in and scores on that layup with 5.3 seconds left. Ball game, Kevin Durant misses a shot at the other end.
Because at the time they don't make the call on Carmelo, whether it's a right or wrong call, we got to go through the rule books. Dick Bavetta thinks it is. The Thunder is up one. If you call backcourt, they're going to have to foul. You get 2 free throws. You're up by 3 with like 5-10 seconds to go. You probably win. Instead, Carmelo hits the big shot. Carlson and a couple other guys, though, in the locker room said, yeah, it doesn't look like we got a couple breaks our way, but we still had a bad third quarter after having a 17-point lead at one point in the second quarter, and they're now 2-15 in games decided by 6 points or less. This team just, you know, their hearts broke time and time other than the green shot out at Golden State. They've only won once in the last 3 months in a close game.
Yeah, you have to give this team credit for tonight's game at least because they're not making excuses. They should have come up with the win. Granted, they had some questionable calls down the stretch, but in the locker room, none of those guys were making excuses, and I think you have to give them credit for that. You could tell that they sort of wanted to, but they took it on the chin and said, you know, we should have made the plays down the stretch. They have to get close. They got to get better at winning these close games. You're going to be writing about that for Thursday's editions of the Oklahoman, but for something has to happen. Either they need to get stops, more stops down the stretch. They got to make more free throws. Collison had a big miss. He went 1 of 2 at the line late in the game. So he did come back with a tip in. To his credit, he had a play where he tipped in a good shot. But these guys got to be better in late game situations, no question.
Because the one thing is Durant scores 32 points. Westbrook's in the 20s. Jeff Green 24, but late in the game, Durant missed. He makes the big shot to give him a lead with 17 seconds to go. That gets overshadowed, but he misses the late one. Westbrook fires up a shot. He hits a big one about a minute ago, but misses one. You can nitpick them. They had some big shots and missed some. Got a key stop, didn't get a key stop. Do you think it's just a matter of time that some of these games are going to go away? Because it wasn't like they completely folded because they fell behind by 4 after leading by 17 to get back and have the lead. So they did make some plays, just not quite enough.
You know, I just think it's a young team. I mean, Scott Brooks doesn't like to point to it, but it's a young team learning how to win. And young teams go through this. I mean, you knew at halftime. I knew at halftime that it was going to be, when it was an 11-point game, I think it was an 11-point lead at halftime, you just knew that Denver was going to claw its way back into the game, and that's what they did. Russell Westbrook learning not to take bad baseline fadeaways with 2 people in your face, or Kevin Durant with, you know, turnovers down the stretch. You know, somebody's got to make a play, and until they do that, I think they're going to continue to struggle this season in the last 33 games to win in these close games.
And it doesn't get any easier. Our last point will be the Portland Trailblazers, one of the good young teams in the league, come to town Friday. Sacramento, Sunday's a winnable game, but then you go to the Lakers in Portland next week. Before the All-Star break hits, 3 of those 4 games are very tough. Tonight they played without Chauncey Billups, got him down early, and couldn't put him away. How do you see this stretch right before the All-Star break with the next 2 being at home?
You know, Portland's going to be a winnable game. It's going to be a tough game, but it's a winnable game. I mean, they got some guys in Greg Oden and LaMarcus Aldridge and Brandon Roy. All these guys are playing. Jared Bayless, the guy who a lot of people thought was going to be in Oklahoma City uniform this season, instead it ended up being Russell Westbrook. He's starting to play well. So they got some firepower on that team, but it's also a winnable game. The Thunder is playing well against good teams in the Ford Center. I think that will continue. Sacramento, they owe them for not winning that game last Sunday in Sacramento. So I think the next 2 games are winnable. Lakers, Portland on the road, those are going going to be tough games.
That'll do it here from the Ford Center. We'll talk to you again Friday night when the Portland Trail Blazers, and oh, by the way, Kevin Pritchard, a former star at Tulsa Edison, is the general manager. His team comes to town.